Good evening, everybody. I'm Swami Chetanananda. I'm the director here at the Movement Center. Most obvious topic to respond to this evening for a few minutes is the election that happened yesterday. I grew up right on the edge of the South in the 50s and 60s. And one of the sort of most significant things that was personally a part of my upbringing there was the opportunity that I had to listen to blues music on the AM radio. There was one blues station in the United States. It was WLAC in Nashville, Tennessee, the heart of Dixie. And it was because of blues music that culturally my awareness was really expanded, and I appreciated that there was a culture and a whole experience that was quite different than mine that was going on right around me that I had no contact with. And that experience of blues music influenced me profoundly, so that as I went to college in 1966, I was really interested in the civil rights movement. And my goal in college was to develop myself as a person who could contribute to the quality of other people's lives. Then came along the Vietnam War. And anyway, I was very politically active. I sort of got drawn into being politically active in those days. At the end of it, as the Kennedys were assassinated and Martin Luther King, and the war unfolded and all the things that happened, I came to realize that politicians lie and what they do is they use everybody's hopes and fears for their own aggrandizement. And that anybody who puts their foot on whatever path we put our foot on in our life, whatever path we choose, is not a path that we control, but rather a path that controls and forms us. Politicians cannot be successful and be honest. It's just not the way it is. At that point, because I was a politician, and potentially a successful one, I decided that I had to, before I could do anything about the quality of anybody else's life, I had to do something about the quality of my own. And at that point, I left politics forever. And fortunately for me, I had friends who introduced me to yoga in 1968. And for me, that was a miracle. For the first time in my life, I actually connected with my body. I had used my body before because I was a football player in high school and an athlete also in college. And, so my body was a tool, but I never actually connected to it. And the experience of connecting to my body and really feeling myself changed me completely. And I found in that experience a simple, good feeling that completely changed my life. And I went forward from that simple, good feeling, taking it deeper and deeper into myself, to a series of really rather extraordinary, life-changing events. I don't think the election that happened yesterday is particularly startling, and one of the reasons is because, you know, I'm still getting over 1980 election when Ronald Reagan became president. I haven't processed all that. But we did survive that, and actually we survived a whole series of presidents who've made it worse and worse and worse and worse. And every time there has been an election, I thought either the pendulum has turned or we've hit rock bottom. And it seems I was wrong every time, and maybe I'll be wrong now. I really hope this is the bottom. But one of the things we learned from this election is that there's a huge section of the country that our leadership is simply just not listening to. And the fact that our leadership is, you know, in fact, openly, in a way, disrespectful. In the last election, it was Mitt Romney saying the 47% were, you know, lazy. In this election, it was both sides, both Trump and Clinton, you know, disparaging different parts of the population at different times. It teaches us that there is really a serious lack of respect in our society. And the whole quality of the dialogue that has gone on in this recent period of time is definitely an expression of that. In yoga, and taking that simple good feeling deeper and deeper through the practice of meditation, we will come to, at a certain point, an experience of that simple good feeling as our own essence. Our physical body and our mind have arisen out of a simple good feeling that resides within us. And, you know, people can describe it, I mean, you can use religious language, you can use philosophical language, you can use hip-hop language if you want. I don't really care what language you use, because, you know, any language is not going to be able to adequately describe the beauty and the strength and the miracle that is the essence of our life. And the unimaginable possibility that is present in that essence for each of us. Having that experience, what we also understand is that each person in the world has arisen out of the same essence. In a way, you can think of it like this. You know, we have wonderful trees on this property. This property is, you know, was developed in around 1900. And the trees, many of them were planted at that time. And the largest tulip poplar tree in the whole state of Oregon is in the yard out here. And if you look at it, what you see is year after year, the life force of that tree in the springtime pushes out a bunch of leaves and flowers and seeds and everything. And in the fall, they fall down. And in the wintertime, those leaves become part of the soil, which in the springtime become part of the leaves again. Each leaf has arisen from the soil that the tree is planted in. It returns to that soil and is recycled over and over and over again. Life has one essence, and each of us is an expression of the life of the earth, which we are cycling in and cycling in over and over again. And understanding, having that experience, the awareness of the unity of all of life, and understanding how that, you know, letting that awareness reorganize your brain, what we come to realize is it's so essential for the quality of our own lives to train ourselves to respect everybody. And it doesn't matter what their issues are. Everybody has them. I have them, you have them. As long as we're human beings, we have issues. And it's inescapable. And so cultivating the awareness that each person's essence is the same as ours, each person's struggle in this world is the same as ours, and each person's end, is the same as ours. We can begin to allow ourselves to listen to each other, to listen. Listening, we let down our defenses. Listening, we learn about ourselves and others, but mostly ourselves. Listening, the learning that we experience allows us to release more tensions and have continuously a bigger flow in ourselves, which allows the life of our life to express itself in unimaginably fine ways. If we respect each other and listen to each other, our whole environment is changed. If when we experience the urge to want to close our hearts and react to somebody from anger or whatever, we've only injured ourselves and made our environment smaller and a little more toxic than it already is. So, especially going forward from today, hard for me to deal with the fact that it seems like half the population is okay with open season on women, open season on African Americans, open season on Mexicans, open season on anybody who isn't white. That's just mind-boggling to me in America today. But, what it tells me is I haven't been listening to the people in Kentucky and Indiana that I grew up next to. Well, there's a reason for that. But it's about to change, because I feel like the anger that has been expressed in this election compels some listening, and it compels us to respect, and it compels us to look within ourselves and begin to think about what we need to do to change ourselves in order to improve the quality of our own life and the lives of those people that we share our life with. We can't do anything about the national shit, and it's impossible. What we can do is something about our own shit, and we can do something about the shit that floats around immediately around us by respecting and listening, by cultivating a simple good feeling that allows for the emergence of genuine compassion within ourselves. We can improve our own lives, and we can improve the lives of everybody that our life touches. So we practice. I think going forward probably there's going to be no Obamacare. Not that I mind too much about that, but I do mind that people don't have health care. I mind. We may not have Medicaid any longer. To think that the elderly are going to be left high and dry without any support or much diminished support also kind of concerns me. To think that the unions that compelled fair wages and safe working environments in the United States for decades are going to be completely wiped out makes me wonder about the quality of the working life for people going forward. But, you know, if we genuinely listen, genuinely respect, and what we're going to hear and what we're going to learn is going to open a doorway within us to see our way through to a safe and beautiful place in this world which is increasingly complicated and unhealthy. One thing I've learned in my life is that all reaction is stupid. 100% of the time, reaction is stupid. And so, it's important for us going forward in this period, which right now is enormously uncertain and might turn into God knows what, that we regularly get in touch with ourselves, find our baseline, take in the changes that are going on around us into ourself, and become peaceful before we start to speak and respond to the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Anger is useless waste of energy. So we respect ourselves and we respect each other. We listen, we connect, we listen, we flow, and in that environment we will all grow, which is the only reason we are alive. Namaste, everybody. Thank you very much for coming.